Hey, hey, welcome to Tea Time with Nejla. So, wherever you are, settle down, arrive, soften, grab your tea, and enjoy this little reflection. Today, I wanted to reflect on time as the last medium. Lately, I've been sitting with time in a very different way. Not as something linear or fixed, but something we use to make sense of change. The turning of seasons, the aging of the body, the rise and fall of your breath, inhaling and exhaling. Time gives language to movement, but it doesn't exist apart from it. When I'm dancing, time doesn't feel like a line. It feels more like a tide. Sometimes it stretches, sometimes it gathers, sometimes it becomes so subtle that it almost disappears. The clock continues somewhere in the background, but the body is living inside a different experience. And I begin to wonder if time becomes visible only through change, through rhythm, through repetition, through cycles that return, never exactly the same. And this is where dance and time meet. Movement reveals change as it is happening. Nothing stays long enough to be held. In the studio, I noticed that choreography is not really about filling time. It is about shaping how time is felt. A pause can open into something vast. A long phrase can pass before I realize it has ended. Duration begins to shape perception more than movement itself. Time becomes material. It stretches across breath, it gathers in stillness, it accumulates in your tired muscles, it reveals itself through aging. The body carries time visibly. Each gesture holds what has already been lived and what is still arriving. Past, present, and future are not separate here. They meet inside the same movement. This may be why dance is so difficult to capture. What matters is not only what happens, but when it happens. The timing, the delay, the moment something arrives. Timing cannot be stored. It can only be lived. And perhaps this is why time feels like the last medium we truly share. Space can be replicated, images can be stored, movement can be recorded, but lived time continues to unfold only once. Each performance carries its own duration. Each breath shapes the next. And in a world that often asks us to move faster, to compress time, to become more efficient, dance offers another experience. A space where we can feel duration again, where we can wait, where we can arrive without urgency, where time is not something we manage, but something we inhabit. I find myself less interested now in how much happens and more in how time moves, where it becomes thick, where it opens, where it asks us to stay a little longer. Perhaps choreography is not only about bodies in motion. Perhaps it is also about inviting us into a different relationship with time. Time not as measurement, but as experience. Time as change made visible. Time as something we pass through together. I leave you with a small practice. I call it sensing time. Wherever you are, sit or stand comfortably. Let your breath settle. Maybe notice the inhalations and exhalations. Maybe notice your edges, your spine, your shoulders. And instead of watching the clock, begin to notice how time feels in your body by observing, by being. Take one slow inhale. Notice its length. Take one slow exhale. Notice how it changes. Now allow a small movement to happen. Let it take exactly as long as it needs to. Not faster, not slower, just as it is. And then pause. Ask yourself, did that moment feel long or short? Notice how your body answers. A question to carry: where does time feel spacious in my life? And where does it feel compressed? And what changes when I allow myself to stay just a little longer? And with this, I leave you. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever you are. Be blessed and enjoy your tea. See you next time. Ciao.